gems, and welcome back to Get Me a Library. Today's book that I'm reviewing is Out of the Blue by Sophie Cameron. Angels start falling from the sky. It seems like the world is ending. Smashing down to earth at extraordinary speeds, wings bent, face contoured, and not a single one has survived. As the world goes wild for angels, Jaya's father uproots the family to Edinburgh, intent on catching one alive, but Jaya can't stand his obsession, and still reeling from her mother's recent death and the sudden disappearance of her ex-girlfriend, she's determined to stay out of it. Then something incredible happens. An angel lands right at Jaya's feet, and it's alive. So I got this book in my April's Book Box Club, and the theme was Fallen Angels. The theme was called Fallen Angels, and that's right up my street. I love that kind of thing. I love Fallen Angels, Nephilims. I like the book series Hush Hush. I really love that series. I've read it like 3 times now, I think, and every time I read it I'm like, wow, this is really good. So I love things like that. Shadowhunters with that in it, but this one, I don't know, I think I was expecting that kind of vibe, but it wasn't. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to tell you about the plot, I want to tell you about the characters, the theme of the book. I want to tell you all the good things about it first before I give you my review. So I got to page 89, which is chapter 11, before I gave up, and I got it back in April, and I started reading it after I did The Princess Bride, and it's taken me to today, and today is May the... what is today? Today's May the 23rd, so it's taken me around about, let's say about 3 weeks to get round to doing this book. Shame on me. So I read A Court of Frost and Starlight because I stopped reading this to read that one because I couldn't wait to read that book. So let's say it took me 2 weeks to read this because that was about a week. Okay, so Out of the Blue. So Out of the Blue is about a girl called Jaya. Obviously I haven't read the whole of the book, so I can only tell you what the book is about until chapter 11. I'm actually so disappointed in myself because I tried so hard to read this book because, one, I try and read every book that I start. 2, this is from my book box club, so again I try and read every book that I get from my book box club. There's still a few books that I haven't read. It's not because they're not my thing, it's just I've had a really good book and I really want to finish that one, and then I've got another book that's really good because I have to finish it, or like it's a series or whatever, and then I get a new one and then I kind of forget about that one. So it's not intentional, it's just the way things work. I mean, life just happens, unfortunately. So this one is about a girl called Jaya. So she's moved to Edinburgh with her dad and her sister. Now her dad has this obsession with these angels that are falling from the sky. So whatever you personally think about that, he has this obsession with them. Now Jaya is like, why do we have to move to Edinburgh? Why do we have to go? And he's like, I want to get a breakthrough. I want to find an angel. And her mum has just died, and the family's a little bit like muddled up, put it that way. So Jaya is still very upset, her sister's very upset, and her dad has basically quit his job to try and find out where these angels have been falling. And if I remember rightly, the angels were falling after her mum died. It's not when her mum was alive, it was after her mum died. So this book has got a lot of like emotion in it about her mum dying, and a lot of like things within the book where it pops up and you think, oh my god, what would I be like in that situation? So it's got a lot of emotion in it. And I did skip towards the end to try and see what it was about, to see if maybe that would make me want to read it even more. And this, I think it was like a few pages at the end of the book, which I very rarely do, read the end of it. I have done a few times, but then I've carried on reading it, so it didn't make me want to read the book basically by reading the end. And basically there's a little bit on here, and it was quite an emotional scene, and it has got a lot of lovely moments in this book, so it wasn't personal towards that. So they've moved to Edinburgh, and like I said, these angels are falling all over. They're not just falling in the UK. I love books that are about the UK. But they're not just falling in the UK, they're falling everywhere. They're falling in like Japan, they're falling in America, they're falling in, I think it was Iceland was one of them as well, and like other Asian countries. So they're falling everywhere, it's not just the UK. So they've moved to Edinburgh. Her father's got like a plan, he's got maps, he believes that there's going to be this angel's going to fall on this specific day. There's so many people in the world, I'd say it's about, I don't know, 50% of the population are like, why are these angels here? They are just beings, they're not, well, they're not human, but they don't have like any human features, they're just horrible, I hate them. Whereas probably like another, I don't know, 20% of that are like, I don't care, and the rest are like, well, they are people, they have people's faces, they have people's bodies, they've fallen from the sky, what's going on? And then there's probably like a small percentage that are like, oh, it's the apocalypse. So when this first started, everyone was a bit like scared, a bit worried, which is fair enough. But then as it kept happening more frequently and all over the world, people started to think, well, I don't know, maybe it's just like, you know, it's something that's going on in the world, like it's just a normal kind of thing. I can't remember if it said how long it's been going on for, but it's probably been about a year maybe I'm wrong, don't quote me on that. So there's a lot of things in here about the angels and about their life, and it's got a very, very slow start before you meet the angel that falls to Jaya's feet. So that's what it's about. Now the writing, I don't want to criticise this book because it was really good, and this is very hard for me to do a review on a book that I didn't really like, but there was potential for me to like, but I still couldn't get into it, and a lot of people do like this book, so it's not just something that like everyone's going to hate. There's a spider falling down. It's only a little one. But yeah, it kind of, I swear that was a spider that was in my room the other day, which I put out the window. Okay, I'll just try not to, oh, where's it going? Okay, so, yeah, basically, where was I? Writing. So yeah, it's written in a very, very young adult way. So if you compare it to books such as A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is a YA book, if you compare it to stories like Hush Hush series, let's compare it to Hush Hush series, not A Court of Thorns and Roses. So Hush Hush series is a YA book as well. Obviously the story is still different, but there are elements where there is relationships, there's family, there's location, there's what's going on, the plot, the story. It's gone now, it's vanished. Okay, let's forget about that spider. So it's got all of those kind of things in it, but it was written in a very, very young adult way. It was written in a way that was probably slightly too young adult for what I like. I'm not a 17-year-old, 18-year-old young adult. I'm on the higher end of young adult, and I think I will always be a higher end of the young adult. But it was written in that kind of way, if that makes sense. It wasn't written badly. The language was good in it. The location, the description was very good in it. But there was a lot of chapters where it would straight away jump to the next thing. So for example, this isn't a spoiler. This is just me explaining something that happens in it, which you could imagine would happen in it anyway. I'm trying not to make it a spoiler, but it's not. So there'll be a scene when she's in the room and she's doing something. For example, she's getting something to eat. Then it will jump to the next bit where she's perhaps getting her stuff to go out the room. So there's like a jump between a sentence. It's not done in a way where there's like a break and it jumps quite slowly, if you know what I mean. Like with some books I've read, it will be doing something like she'll be in the house making food and then she'll be walking out the door and then she'll be going and then it will kind of jump. It's sort of just like she's making food, then she's outside. Like one scene she's running to where she needs to go, so she's talking about like, I need to get there fast, then she's already at that place. I'm not saying that you have to describe her running, you have to describe everything she sees when she's running, but you kind of want to either change the chapter to a next chapter or do like a sub-chapter where there's like a gap. It just sort of like goes straight to it. So there was a lot of that in it, which makes you think the book was fast-paced, but it wasn't. So yeah, the plot of the story. This is where I start to give you a little bit of my review. It didn't really make sense. So these angels are falling, but no one knows why. Fair enough. Okay, you're not going to know why, because you need to get to the story. There's another book, oh my god, I've forgotten what it's called. I think it's called Angel Fall, and I've read the first and second book of it, and I really like that story. That's another one that I can talk about. So basically, I think it's by Mary Sue or someone like that. I'm probably wrong, but I think it was called Angel Fall, and that came out quite a few years ago. And it has a similar thing to that, where angels are falling and they don't know why, and there's like an apocalypse going on, and there's something happening with that. And that gives you still an understanding as to why these angels are falling. This book doesn't. So because I couldn't read it, I went online and I had a look at some reviews, and a lot of people have said the same thing. And when I got to the end and I was reading a little bit, it still doesn't make sense as to why these angels were falling. So I don't actually think we know about it. So it was sort of one of those books where it's a bit like, oh, what's going to happen? Why are they falling? Oh, the book doesn't even know. But I can't completely comment on it because I didn't finish the book. Like I said, I got to page 89, chapter 11, and there is 30 chapters. So I'm not even halfway through. And I can't fully comment on it. So this review is like a bit of a weird one because I couldn't finish it. So I can only really go by the 11 chapters and the last chapter that I read. So it's a bit, yeah. Okay, what's next? The characters. So the characters within the book. So there's Jaya, there's her sister, there's a neighbour, there's her dad, there's two people which are sort of followers of the beings and they like them. There's the fallen angel, which they have a cute name for, and there's like a few people around just like, you know, walking around on the news, like the telly, and some like mini flashbacks of her friends at school. But the main characters from the beginning to chapter 11 is her dad, her sister, the neighbour, the two people that are loving beings, obviously Jaya and the angel. So they're the main characters. Now the character development was pretty good. It did start off really good with Jaya. You learn a little bit about her. Every sort of chapter or so you go back to the past and you learn a little bit more about her, her mum, her dad, why she's in Edinburgh. But I don't think there was much character development within the first 11 chapters of the angel and what's going on with them. So again, I can't comment on the character development throughout the whole book. I can only do the first 11 chapters. But the characters, they were okay. There wasn't nothing majorly special with them. I think within the book there was a hidden meaning, and it was about her mum dying and about how she's coping with that, how her family are, and how like her dad's trying to like do something with the angels, try and find out more about them, and it's like his way of distraction, and her sister joining in, but she's like, well, is no one going to talk about mum? So it's a bit, there's a hidden meaning in it. I think the book's more about that and how their family is coping through that loss than just the angels. I think that's kind of what I got from it. The location is in Edinburgh, so obviously Scotland. I think they came from London. I can't remember. I think it's London. I'm going to be able to have a quick look, see if it is London, but I may be completely wrong. Doesn't say. I don't want to look too long. But her mum was from Kuala Lumpur and her dad is from England. So they've got kind of that in there. So there's like a bit of diversity in there. Their names are very different as well. So obviously Jaya, you don't hear every day. Her sister's called Rainey. So there's a lot of like different locations within it. So like they talk about a few other places and stuff like school. But I can't remember where she was. I think it was England. But it's mainly set in Edinburgh. I don't think that we go up to where the angels have come from. I think it's just Edinburgh that it's based in. And that was quite cool because I have been to Edinburgh. So it's nice to actually visualise what you've seen, not just from photos, from actually being in the place, with like the castle and the streets, to actually have it in a book. So it's quite nice. That was really good. So overall, my review, I think I already said about the hidden meaning within the book. But I just couldn't get into it because I still didn't understand why these angels were falling. And because the angel couldn't talk, spoiler, sorry. Because the angel couldn't talk, it was like she can't actually tell, again, spoiler, sorry. She can't actually tell you what's going on. And that's fine because obviously the angel can't talk. But I don't know, there was something missing in the beginning. It was such a slow start. It took 11 chapters for her to find the angel, bring the angel to wherever she was keeping her. Spoiler again, sorry. It took that long to do what needed to be done for the beginning, and I don't know. I think still skipping to the last chapter, you still don't know why the angels are falling, so I don't know. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't want to give this like no stars because it's not a no star book. I'm gonna have to give it, oh, it's really hard. I don't want to give it a 1-star poor book. And I don't want to give it like 2 stars, it was okay. But then the thing is, it wasn't 3 stars or 3 cups of tea. Oh, I don't know. This is really hard. I want to ask you to like tell me what to give it. I think I'm going to have to give it like a a 1.5 stars, because it wasn't a poor book, because I don't know. I don't know. This is really hard. I've never been in this position before. I was like, do I record this review or not? And I already told you guys last week that I was going to review it. And I know that I'm filming this a week after I said. It was because I wanted to film you a good review. Not good because like, yeah, this is amazing. I wanted to film you like a really good review where I actually spoke into detail about it. Because I can only go by 11 chapters in the last bit, I'm not giving you the best review like I've tried to do with my other reviews, so that's why it's slightly late, because I tried to give myself a little bit more time. But it got to the point last night and I was just like, what happens in the end? Is this good? No. And then I was like Googling it, I was like, no. So I'm going to have to give it a 1-star cup of tea, even though I probably drank loads of tea to try and finish this book. So I'm really, really sorry, Sophie Cameron. I can't give this book more than a 1-star, 2-star, only because I couldn't finish it. I couldn't get into it enough to review it properly. If I was able to finish the book, then I would be able to give a better opinion for you. But unfortunately, I can't give this book more than a 1.5 stars. I'm going to give it 1.5 stars because I feel bad. No, I shouldn't, because the whole point is to just give good reviews. Like good reviews in the sense of like it's a proper review where like I tell you properly and give you my honest opinion, because that's what I want it to be like. And I've tried to do that with every one I've read before. But unfortunately, I can't give this one a better review. I'm sorry. So my question for you today is, have you read this book? If you've read this book, please tell me what you thought if you got to finish it. And if I'm, you know, the same as what you're thinking, if it's the same thing. If not, then try and make me, you know, believe that it's better. One day I'll try and read this again, hopefully. I've got so many books to read, but still. So let me know if you think it's worth another try. And if you haven't read it, please don't let me put you off of it. Maybe download like a sample or something. You can get them on like the Kindle, or try and borrow it somehow. So yeah, please don't let me put you off of it. So yeah, and for those of you that haven't read it, aren't interested in this at all, let me know your favourite Fallen Angel book, and if you like the Hush Hush series or Angel Fall. So yes, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you, bye.